Okay, let's dive into this. If you're tackling German, you've almost certainly hit that dreaded wall, German cases. You've probably seen those terrifying massive tables and thought, how on earth am I ever going to memorize this? Well, today, we're decoding Chapter 7 of the German Mastery Handbook, and we're taking a totally different approach. We aren't going to view cases as scary tables to memorize. Instead, we're going to look at them as a highly logical mystery to solve. Today, you are going to become a case detective.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the German case mystery. Second, the birthday gift story. Third, nominative and accusative explained. Fourth, the case detective method. And finally, mastering common dative verbs.
Part 1 of the handbook kicks things off with Section 1, the German case mystery. Exactly why der Apple suddenly becomes den Apple.
So why does a German word's article just randomly change? Well, it happens because that word's specific job in the sentence changed. Think of nouns in a sentence like suspects in a police investigation. Depending on what they're up to at the scene of the crime, whether they're actually doing the action, receiving the action, or maybe having something handed to them, they literally wear a different uniform. German just marks that change in role by simply swapping out the article.
Which brings us to Section 2, the birthday gift story, where we identify our 4 case suspects.
Picture this scene in your head. Rahul buys a birthday gift, hands it to Janvi, and later she says, "Hey, this is Rahul's gift." Let's break down the 4 roles here. Step 1. Rahul buys. Who's doing the action? Rahul. He's the giver. That's our nominative case. Step 2. The gift. What's being bought? The gift is on the receiving end of the action. That's the accusative case. Step 3. To Janvi. To whom is this gift going? Janvi's the receiver. That's the dative case. And step 4. Rahul's gift. Whose gift is it? He's the owner. That's the genitive case. And this brilliantly illustrates how every single case just represents a totally different job or role in our story.
To make this really stick, we use what the handbook calls the golden questions. Honestly, forget memorizing scary grammar terms for a second. Just memorize these questions. Nominative asks, who is doing the action? Accusative asks, what is receiving the action? Dative asks, to whom? And genitive asks, whose? Drilling these 4 golden questions trains your brain to adopt that detective mindset. It completely stops you from blindly guessing at tables, because now you're asking what the noun is actually doing.
Moving right along to Part 2 of the handbook. Section 3, nominative and accusative explained. This is the core interrogation.
Let's put English and German side by side. Think about the English sentence, Janvi drinks coffee. Who drinks? Janvi, that's our subject. What is drunk? Coffee, that's the direct object. Now compare it to the German, Janvi trinkt Kaffee. Who drinks? Janvi, our nominative subject. What is drunk? Kaffee, our accusative direct object. The fundamental subject-verb and direct object logic is absolutely identical in both languages. Once you realize this, German feels way less intimidating.
And all right, get ready for a huge sigh of relief. When you think about the nominative and accusative definite articles side by side, do you notice anything? 75% of the accusative doesn't change at all. The feminine die, the neuter das, and the plural die all stay exactly the same. The only thing you're really learning today is one major change. The masculine der becomes den when it's the direct object receiving the action. That's it. To help you spot that accusative even faster, the handbook lists these essential A1 verbs. Haben, to have, kaufen, to buy, brauchen, to need, sehen, to see, hören, to hear, lesen, to read, essen, to eat, and trinken, to drink. What's the common thread here? They naturally prompt your brain to ask the question, what? Think about it. What do you buy? What do you eat? What do you read? Because they answer that what question, they're heavily associated with accusative direct objects. Now we hit the sweet spot. Part 3 of the handbook. Section 4, the case detective method. This is the 5-step interrogation formula. Here is your trusty 5-step interrogation formula. Step 1, find the verb. Step 2, ask who for the nominative. Step 3, ask what for the accusative. Step 4, ask to whom for the dative. And Step 5, ask whose for the genitive. So the crucial point is, you must never, ever skip finding the verb first. Everything in a German sentence revolves around that verb. Without it, absolutely nothing is happening, and you can't possibly figure out who is doing what to whom. Let's actually run a live example right now to prove you can decode a complex German sentence without glancing at a single case table. Take the sentence, Der Lehrer gibt dem Schüler das Buch. Okay, step 1, verb, gibt, which means gives. Step 2, who gives? Der Lehrer, the teacher. Boom, nominative subject. Step 3, what is being given? Das Buch, the book. It receives the action, so that's our accusative direct object. Step 4, to whom is it given? Dem Schüler, the student. He's the receiver, making that our dative. Just like that, you cracked it simply by asking the right questions.
But wait, there is a catch. Section 5, mastering common dative verbs. This is the plot twist.
Think about the English sentence, I help him. In English, him is just a standard direct object, but the German translation is Ich helfe dem Mann. Dem Mann is actually in the dative case. Why? Let's move to auf and see how this builds on what we've learned. Germans think of this action slightly differently. They don't conceptualize helping him directly. They think of giving help to someone. Because that help is flowing to a recipient, the verb helfen always uses the dative case. Plot twist, right?
Because of this quirky plot twist, you have to memorize a short list of essential A1 verbs that always trigger the dative case. We've got helfen, to help, danken, to think, gefallen, to be pleasing to, gehören, to belong to, and antworten, to answer. These verbs always trigger the dative because they fundamentally deal with a recipient or a beneficiary rather than a direct object being acted upon.
And that brings us to the true definition of the dative case. It's the grammatical case that marks the recipient, the beneficiary, or the target of an action. Once you lock that definition into your mind, you'll stop associating the dative with random, frustrating table changes, and you'll start associating it with the actual flow of the action. Just ask yourself, is something going to someone? If the answer is yes, you're almost certainly looking at the dative.
Now, what's really interesting about this next point in the handbook is a massive mindset shift. Grammar comes after understanding. I really want to hammer this point home. You cannot guess the grammar if you don't actually understand what the sentence is trying to say. Grasping the meaning, hunting down that verb, and assigning the roles, that always has to happen before you try picking an article from a grammar table. Be a detective first and a grammarian second.
I'm going to leave you with one final mystery from the handbook. Die Mutter gibt dem Kind einen Ball. Can you apply your brand new case detective skills to solve this one? Ask yourself, what's the verb? Who is doing the action? What's receiving it? And to whom is it going? I bet you can solve it right now. Stick with this interrogation method, and German cases will literally never intimidate you again. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy sleuthing.